This video is dedicated to all the first-time landlords. And the reason I say that is that I had learned so many different lessons by being a first-time landlord when I got into property rental myself. I bought my 2-bed, 1-bath many years ago. I stayed in it. And the beauty is that I negotiated it for a good price. I got equity in that property. And there was a fair amount of capital appreciation over the years that I actually owned that property. Now, that was all the plus. What really made me feel like I can't anymore was some of the things that the tenants did that left me crying. Welcome to my channel. My name is Genevieve Stafford-Jack, and on this channel, I talk about all things property investing and life hacks. Yes, some of the stunts that tenants do will leave you in some sort of emotional state. And you know what? The one thing that I hated the most had left me in tears. But just before I get there, there's a couple of things I want to make mention. You know, in my previous video, I made mention of the lease agreement, which is a rental agreement. I really believe that that one particular document was the thin line between me selling and not selling. Had I really met up with that TPN lease agreement to make this whole engagement with my tenant a lot more palatable, I promise you, up until today, I would be enjoying the fruits of that particular 2-bed, 1-bath. However, since then, after selling it, I have enjoyed the fruits because I got a substantial amount of money that paid out, and I was able to do a number of things in and around my own primary residence. However, I want to just take you a step back though. Before we enjoy the fruits of our labor, we end up forking out a lot of money. So when we do eventually have that big payout in the end, the question is, how much of a payout is it really? So this is where I kind of just feel like the balancing act. I wonder what it would look like. I was just happy to be done with that property. Now, the thing that left me crying is the electricity bill. The sad part is I had postpaid, meaning you consume electricity and you pay it at the end of the month. And that left me in tears during the winter months. You know, many families stayed in that particular property, but there was one family that stood out where I found that the electricity bill literally doubled when they were there. And year in and year out, I got the same story. And when I really sit down and I think about it now, I really wish I had some sort of access to people that would speak about prepaid electricity. In fact, prepaid electricity was like a far-fetched thing in my mind, even though it was just a few years ago that I had this particular property. It really was not something that I was used to. I couldn't even imagine outside of a cell phone with data that there was something like electricity that was a pay-as-you-go method. And I found that between the months of May and September, the bill would skyrocket. And when I did my homework, now that we're doing property investing, to actually put in a prepaid unit, it would have saved me years of tears. It would have saved me years of excuses that I listened to from my tenants. In fact, I took the high road where I felt like, because we are people, we are able to sit down and we can have this conversation. And I tell you, year in and year out, this conversation, it felt as if it was like whatever. It felt as if that when I walked out the door, they showed me the middle finger. That's really how it felt. Maybe it may not have been that way from the tenant's point of view, but I appealed to the tenants, and I promise you, I appealed to human nature. I appealed to the mother in her. I appealed to so many different things, but every year it was the same thing. And I wonder if you are in the same situation and you are looking for a solution. I would love to hear from you down in the comments below. What situation are you facing today that you wish you actually had a solution for your tenants? You never know. I could be able to answer that particular question down below, or even others that are viewing this particular video will be able to give you that answer. And that was a type of support that I looked for. But instead, I found a lot more people like myself frustrated. And together, I mean, some of the people that I found, like I mentioned in the previous video, were these accidental landlords. That's how they call themselves. People that inherited property, that needed to rent this property out to get an income and things like that. We were just a group of people that was so frustrated, and we spoke to each other about our frustrations. And I really wished I could have gone into YouTube back then. I really wished I had a different avenue that I could have learned about prepaid electricity, solving my challenges. And those were just part of the challenges that I had. At one stage, I even called it Diaries of a Landlord because there were so many woes. I love being in property. I enjoy the fruit of property. And I know that property is a long haul. But I want to find out from you, when you started in your property game, what did you think you would actually meet up with versus what you have found in the space of property? The one thing I'm grateful for is that in the long run, I was able to find property investing again. I found my love for property. And since then, because I've got so many different solutions to the challenges I had back then, I'm in so much of a happier place. In fact, I'd gone the extra mile within August 2020, where every day I came live and I shared 30 different scenarios, and that is questions new and aspiring property investors ask. And at the end of the video, what I'll do is I'll put up that particular playlist, and I would love that you binge watch through that to see if any of those videos actually address the challenges that you are currently facing. Because I know so many of those questions that I did answer, I was able to find that particular answer and put it into the property investing business that I'm currently part of. So what are you waiting? Are you going to jump into that particular playlist? Will I see you over in the playlist?